Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network. Brought to you, as always, by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. I apologize for my cold. I hate broadcasting with a cold, but I have a really bad one. It went through the whole house. I got it last, and I've had it for 2 days now, and I hate colds. Uh, we're on the Mike Francesa channel on the Bet Rivers Network on YouTube. I will not spend much time on the Giant game. It was a terrible game. It was badly played on both sides. The mistakes were outrageous. The penalties were outrageous. The play calling was stupid. The decision making was dumb. There's nothing good to say, and they got a field goal blocked at 14. You know what you can say about the Giants? They didn't quit the game, okay? They fought hard the whole game. The game was a complete mess from start to finish. I mean, in the first half, Locke was 19 for 52 yards. I mean, he got the neighbors a couple times in the second half. I don't know how many passes were dropped. Um, and you knew that we wouldn't get to overtime, that something would happen. Something would happen. And what happened was the guy made a heck of a play, jumped over the line of scrimmage and made a block. And the Giants lose 14-11. So let's get to the Jets because that game was at least interesting. And the Dolphins didn't play well on defense. The Jets played one of their better games on offense. Rodgers played pretty well. I wouldn't say great, but he was 27 to 39 for 339. First time he's been over 300 yards in 35 games. But the the Jets were so frustrating in this game. First of all, in overtime, when the Dolphins got the ball, you knew the Jets were never seeing the ball. There wasn't a chance in the world the Jets were ever seeing the ball. The Dolphins, I never even thought they'd get the third down. Okay, that's how much I thought they would score. I would have bet my life they were going to score a touchdown on that drive, and they obviously did. And it was as easy as it looked. But let me get to where it drove me absolutely crazy. First of all, it bothered me throughout the game because I wanted to see how good Allen was. And they never let Allen show you if he is a real running back or not because they never allowed him to be in the game on consecutive carries. They never gave him a body of carries where he could get a rhythm going. And I understand Davis did some good things, but Davis is in there as an extra guy and as a receiver. And they used Allen as a receiver today, even though they don't think Allen's a great receiver. He did drop one, but he did have an effective game receiving the ball. But they didn't try to run the ball ever with him. And they were getting 5 yards every time he touched the ball. He was 10 carries for the day. He had one bad one, and he was 11 carries for 43 yards. Davis was 10 carries for 40 yards. First of all, why did you go in the game and give them each the equal number of carries? One's a third down receiver / back. The other one is a running back. And they never gave the kid a chance to see if he could do what a running back does, which is get 5, get 8, get 15. Never did he ever touch the ball twice in a row from scrimmage in the game. I mean, it was shameful. Now, I'm going to tell you where the Jets blew the game because they could not throw the game back on their defense, and their play calling threw the game back on the defense. The Dolphins didn't tackle well all day. They didn't handle the running game well. They didn't handle the passes to the backs well. Both backs had good yardage. I think Davis wound up with 70-something yards. I think Allen wound up with 80-something yards. Okay, both receivers had yards, even though they collided on one play. Here's the game, okay? You get the game. Let me get to the exact play. Fourth quarter, the Jets get a first down on the 27-yard line. There's 1:14 left. They don't want a field goal here. And what they don't want to do is leave any time on the clock. Dolphins have 2 timeouts. Now, 1:14 left. You hit the play play to Lazard down to the 27-yard line. You have your field goal. You want one or two things to happen here. You want to kick the ball with 3 or 4 seconds left, or you want to score a touchdown. You don't want the Dolphins to touch the ball again. Because with Hill and Waddle and Ashawn. You can't cover them. They will, and then you bring Smith in, who did nothing all day, and then killed him in the overtime. They didn't throw the ball to him all day, and then they throw the ball to him religiously in the overtime. The bottom line is the play calling at that point was atrocious. First of all day, they were so hung up on motion and trickery rather than trying to run the ball, despite the fact they were getting 5 yards every time they ran it. They still only ran it 21 times against a team that they didn't want to keep getting the ball. Now, they have the ball in the 27. On first down, they have both backs in. Instead of what they should have done there is, I'm giving the ball to Allen with two tights. If he gets 7 or 8, I'm giving it to him again. If I get a 2nd and 1, I might let Rodgers run a play action for the touchdown. But I am getting a touchdown or I'm kicking the field goal with 3 or 4 seconds left. Instead, they have the two backs in. They run a gimmick play to Davis and lose 5 yards on the first down. Now Miami calls timeout. 2nd down, Rodgers gets sacked. Miami calls timeout. Now it's 3rd and 21. Rodgers has to pull a miracle back shoulder throw to Devontae Adams, which those two could do in their sleep, for 14 yards to get a field goal back. But you got the field goal back, but you left them a minute and change on the clock. Not good. Too much time. Then, of course, you give up a kick return, and now you know the question isn't, are they getting a field goal? The question is, are they going to score a touchdown? Why were you so locked in to gimmickry and throwing the ball without ever allowing the running backs to have a chance, especially Allen, to show you if he could pound the running game at them yesterday in this game? There was your chance. 1st and 10 at the 27. I said, give the ball to Allen on back-to-back plays. First down, a gimmick. They don't even give him the ball. They lose 5. And then a sack. Now you need a miracle just to get a field goal off. What happens? They get the field goal. They win the coin flip. They stick it in the end zone. You go home a loser again. Probably self-satisfied with how the offensive played. Give me a break. The play calling was so stupid. You were running the ball well all day. Why did you only want to, against a team where you didn't want to give them the ball too much in the fourth quarter? Why would you want to do that? 21 carries, 83 yards. And that's giving the ball to the 3rd down back as many times as you gave it to the running back. They only gave Allen 11 carries in this game. They didn't need to throw the ball as much as they did, and they didn't want to keep giving the ball back to Miami. Yes, Wilson had 100 yards. Yes, Adams had 100 yards. Fine. They're a lousy defensive team this year. And they couldn't stop the running game all day, except we never let Allen be Allen. I'm telling you, the way that game started, I thought Allen was going to have 100 yards rushing. It was atrocious. And that at the 27, 1st and 10 is when the Jets lost the game. I don't care if they made a back shoulder throw for 14 yards to keep a field goal. They left Miami in the game. And we all knew Miami was going to move the ball on them at will whenever it had to. And it did. Miami moved the ball on them in the fourth quarter at will. They get the ball to Hill. They get the ball to Waddle. They get the ball wherever they need the ball. And then in the overtime, they got the ball to Smith. 3 times for 44 yards in the overtime. And that was the end of the game. Hill had 100 yards. He hasn't had 100 yards all year. He had 100 yards. Waddle had 99 yards. They didn't run the ball for anything today. They ran the ball 19 times for 44 yards today. Ashawn had a very quiet game for him. He didn't hit the end zone for the first time in weeks and weeks and weeks. I know that because I have Ashawn in my fantasy league, so I know that. But I thought the Jets had to put the hammer down and try to win the game there or take the game down to the final seconds. They were in command. Miami was screwed. Ball's on the 27. They're like, hey, worst that happens is if we run it 3 times. If we don't stop them, we're getting the ball back with a couple of seconds left. That's it. We only got 3 timeouts. They let him off the hook. That's that's why these coaches are just so bad. And they make Rodgers look bad all the time. Everything is always a rush to get to the line of scrimmage. There's always two on the play clock. They're having to call timeout. I mean, I'm so tired of looking at it. These coaches stink, and they stunk again today. And they took a win and they threw it out the window. Now let me get to something that we could care about. I think this college football thing is going to be great. I really do. I think it's going to be a smash on TV. Now, I wanted to see if SMU Alabama got in. I didn't think there was any way Alabama would get in after SMU made that great comeback against Clemson and then lost the game in the final seconds last night. The kick return and then the 56-yard field goal, and they lose the game by 3 points because this was the reason. SMU was in before it went to play its conference championship game. They lose their conference championship game by 3 points on a 56-yard field goal. You cannot knock them out of the playoff for going to play in a championship game. If that was the way the thing went the first year of the proceedings, teams weren't going to want to play in a championship game anymore once they were in the playoff. Why would they want to? I mean, you're making it a disincentive. Now, if you're going there like Arizona State, you have to win your way in, or Boise State and win your way in. I understand that. But if you're going there and you're already in, you shouldn't get knocked out. And SMU didn't get knocked out. So I think that was important. Miami had nothing to complain about. They didn't have the schedule. Alabama has nothing to complain about. They lost 3 games. So nobody has anything to complain about. SMU got in, which is important. Now, the way the seeding shook out, you wound up with 2 teams that I don't think can win the national championship seeded in the top 4 getting buys. And those are Arizona State. Despite how hot they are right now, I don't think they can win the whole thing. And Boise State, who I don't think can win the whole thing. So 2 of the teams that are seeded, I don't think can win the whole thing. Obviously, Oregon and Georgia can win the whole thing. Now, how many teams do I think can win the whole thing? 6. Texas, Ohio State. Yes, Ohio State, despite the Michigan malaise, Ohio State. Oregon. I'm going to say Penn State because I think they got an easy road to the Final Four. I don't think they'll win it when they get there, but I think they can make the Final Four because I think they'll beat SMU, and I think they can beat Boise. So I think they'll make the Final Four. So I'm going to say them, but I don't think they can win it. So I'm really saying 5, but I'm giving you 6. And then Notre Dame, which I think could win it this year, and Georgia. Indeed, Georgia will be one of the great games. I think Notre Dame will beat Indiana. I think Indiana obviously can do it on offense, but they will not handle the Notre Dame running game, and they won't handle the Notre Dame defense. So I think Notre Dame will win a good game. And then I think you got Notre Dame, Georgia, which Notre Dame, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State are going to be the classics. Arizona State's playing great, but I figure Texas will beat Clemson and then beat Arizona State. I think the top 5 teams in the country are Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. I think those are the top 5 teams in the country. This thing's going to be terrific. It really is going to be terrific. Starts December 20th. First, we got Army Navy, and this year Army Navy's fun because Army's had a great year and Navy's had a really good year. So they both come in with nice teams this year. And Levy even comes in with a ranked team after whipping on Tulane the other night. Army's done a hell of a job. So we haven't talked a lot of college football before the playoff. I didn't think we would, but we talk a lot. We'll talk a lot of it because of the playoff, and the playoff's going to be a big, big thing with the sports books, and it's going to be a very big thing on television. Very, very big. Now there wasn't a lot. I apologize for my cold. I really do. There's nothing I can do. My nose is just running like crazy. There wasn't a lot early today that really mattered. Falcons lost again to the Vikings. They're in trouble now because Tampa had the Raiders. And if Tampa was going to be in trouble against the Raiders, and they might have been, they knocked the Cardinal out of the game, so that was the end of that. Uh, Steelers beat the Browns. I thought they would. Uh, so Eagles won. They didn't win big, but that's fine. They still won. So Tampa had a big win. Falcons had a big loss. In the late game, which is big, Seattle Cardinals. Seattle leads 17-10 early in the second quarter. Rams and Bills are tied. Rams match up well with the Bills, but the Bills will probably win a shootout. Rams do well against teams who play defense the way the Bills do. And they have a lot of weapons. I think they could score a lot today, but they'll probably still lose. Um, Chiefs and Chargers tonight. If in the pregame they tell you McConkey's not only is going to dress but healthy, and Drizzly's healthy at tight end, even though they don't have Dobbins, I think they could upset the Chiefs tonight. Then you got the Cowboys and the Bengals tomorrow night. And I guess we're going to see if Burrow's going to drive the Batmobile around or if he's going to throw any more touchdown passes, which you know he is because he's already got 30. But this was the last bye week, and there was a lot of teams off, so it was a rotten Sunday for games. Not great. But we got a Jet overtime game with the Dolphins, which they screwed up. Of course, leave it to their play calling, which is just so patently stupid. It's ridiculous. And the Giants, hey, at least it was close. That's all I can give you. Now, I saw them wearing the bags at the Giant game today. So you got the bags out with 2 games to go. You got the Raven game at home, which they'll probably lose big, and the Colt game, which the Colts desperately need, so they'll probably win big with Taylor going crazy on them. Next week, the Ravens will go crazy on them, and then the Taylor will go crazy on them. So they're 2 home games they have left. They're probably going to get beat up in, and so you can get the bags out. I saw a couple of the bags out tonight, so you'll see plenty of empty seats and plenty of bags. Next week, I'm sure the Raven fans will come up for the game. Why wouldn't they? It's a hop, skip, and a jump, so I'm sure they will. But the Giants lose a game that should have gone to overtime, and the Jets lose a game that you knew they wouldn't overtime. Hey, just take it back. 1st and 10 at the 27, 112 left. Miami has 2 timeouts. You have the game completely under control. What are you thinking with the play calling? But when you're coached as badly as they are coached as badly with talent as any team I think I have ever seen. And they could lose when this quarterback throws for 340. They could lose when this quarterback throws for 540 because they are just so bad at their jobs. It's scary. We'll see you later.